Hi there, everybody. It is J Pool from J Pool's GNERD Corner, and welcome everybody. I'm here with.
Darrell Hearns, everybody, aka Darrell H, the comedian, aka author, bestseller, The Lazy Man's Hustle. Darrell Hearns, everybody.
Hi there, Darrell. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about who you are and what exactly do you do?
I am Darrell Hearns. I'm from Northern Virginia. I have these great books. Powerful is the Book of Power Game. It's about like leadership mindset. The Power of Overcoming No. That's like one of the early chapters in this book, man. So I love about that book, and just like knowing that your job as a leader is to build other leaders. That's been my thing since I was young. I got tired of seeing the same people on like every list, like the same writers doing the same thing. And you're like, wow, why do all these movies sound the same? Oh wow, it's the same five guys. You know what I'm saying? So you can make your own, be independent, do what you gotta do, add yourself, be a creative, see what the creative life's about and what leadership is. It's just another form of entrepreneurship, man. We want to improve the world in the end, right? You agree?
I agree. I definitely agree.
It's The Lazy Man Hustle. That's the beginning. That's the first book I wrote. It was a bestseller of 2017. It was a great time, man. Because it was like I would ride my bike to like 2 miles, I want to say, every day to a library to write that book. Because something put it on my heart to listen to my inner voice and say, hey, write a book about how to save money, to influence people out there that are like, I want to be creative. I want to build this thing. I want to make this. Let's say somebody's been telling me their whole life they want to build a hotel or own a hotel. And I've been hearing this for 20 years now. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to make one step at least? Are you just comfortable now? The Lazy Man Hustle, that's how you get the money together for what you need, which I call your personal growth inside. That's what is needed. For me, doing this comedy thing, I'm like an introvert, man. I'm a nerd. I grew up on all the geek stuff. I had all the Sonic comics growing up. I watched X-Men. I was one of the guys. I'd rush into Barnes and Noble for like the Deadpool graphic novels just because I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? To read and stuff because he was an interesting character. Now they kind of made him like a minion almost, but he was an interesting character back then.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I loved about the character. And, just coming up here, and I just did, like, two big appearances. I'm running open mics, Lacuna Cava at 8 p.m. every Wednesday, O'Connor's Pub on Thursday at 8:30 p.m., then Urban Beans open mic. That's every Saturday at 3:30 p.m. I'm taking Saturdays off to help people empower themselves to know where their gifts at and to showcase the people. 'Cause that's one of our main worries as creatives, really. I feel.
Oh yeah.
You can always be converted,
Also, procrastination is another thing us creatives have to deal with.
Exactly. So that's what Powerful is about. Just getting that idea out there. Like, stop sitting on it for so long. Then you're like, some of the other people, as I said, the person that wanted to build a hotel. We do, for us, let's say artists. There's somebody sitting at home right now that's like, man, I want to start a podcast. I'm going to start a podcast. 10 years later, I'm going to start a podcast.
Yes.
50 years later, I'm going to start a podcast.
They're near death now.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, just do it. Get it started.
Be Shia LaBeouf. Just do it.
Get out there and handle it, man. It's not that tough. Learn from it. You might even find your voice. That's what happened with me with stand-up comedy. I found my confidence. When I was starting as a public speaker, I was mimicking a lot of different speakers instead of finding my voice and what I bring to the table. Comedy helped me get out there and say, this is me. This is how I tell jokes. This is how I am. I'm goofy, but I'm also cool. So, you know what I'm saying? There's two different sides to this character that I'm about to show y'all. And so far, it's been a really good reception of it. So you know, it's been beautiful, man.
That's fantastic. Now,
So,
let's get deep into the show. Okay, so
cool.
now the audience knows who you are, and
Oh, yeah.
now we can get into this week in pop culture. All right, so um, the box office this week is pretty interesting because we have a new contender, especially since there's really nothing coming out this coming week. It's Sonic the Hedgehog uh, comes in with a 4 day weekend actually
Oh, yeah.
because of President's Day, and it made the normal 3 day weekend and made over like nearly $58 million, and with the 4 day weekend it made $70 million, breaking the record and beating out Detective Pikachu as the highest earning video game adaptation film.
Which is crazy. That's just crazy. Like, you're talking about Pokemon. You know
Yeah,
what
we're
I'm
talking about
saying?
Pokemon. Yeah.
Like the game. Like there's people like kids now that know what Pokemon is, you know?
Well, the interesting thing about this movie is that when the original trailer came out last year, because it was supposed to come out, the movie was supposed to come out last year, they
Yeah.
pushed it back because fan outrage on
Right.
the trailer that came out and the design of Sonic the Hedgehog. People were like, "That's not my Sonic." Hashtag not my Sonic.
Not at
Uh,
all.
it looked terrifying. It looked like something out of a nightmare. And then later in the year, people saw cats, and they apparently apologized to the creators of Sonic.
Heck yeah, man.
But yeah, it actually turned out pretty well. I actually saw the film, and I really enjoyed it. It's not a perfect film, but I
Yeah.
think every scene that Jim Carrey is in there, pretty much he steals every single scene
Yeah.
as Dr. Robotnik, and like he is vintage 1990s Jim Carrey in this film.
Which is awesome. Heck yeah, man. That's what we needed. I mean, Sonic is a 90s character. You know? Like,
Yeah, the
that's
two
what we wanted.
oh
You
yeah,
know, when I was playing Sonic 2, I probably ended up watching Ace Ventura after I turned it off, you know? Like,
exactly. The
yeah.
two comedians that I looked up to in the 90s when I was younger were Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. They had just had this sort of like energetic like way of comedy where they were all over the stage. They wouldn't stop moving. Even in interviews, they would be bouncing back and forth, sometimes even jumping on the table, kind of freaking the host out if they weren't used to it. But just
Right.
had this incredible energy about them, and their comedy was very improv. It wasn't written down. It was just like that. And that's hard for a lot of comedians to do, to just, to shoot off like that and get the comedy out there. Even if it doesn't make sense, it's funny because you know, they're making it up on the spot.
In the spot they're being engaging.
Oh yeah.
You know, always that aspect of, I've written a billion jokes on stage that I carry with me nowadays. You know, like just doing that improv you're talking about. So I understand where you're coming from, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, with the box office this week, there really wasn't much competition because last week's movie that came out, Birds of Prey, flopped, and they were they're slowly declining in sales, and they're just trying to hold on, because marketing and the way they marketed it, and also a lot of controversy coming out of the film, unfortunately turned a lot of people off. And then when people actually start to realize what the movie was, in the sense of it's pretty much 80% a Harley Quinn movie. It's like
Yeah.
Harley Quinn, and they actually changed the name. Actually, I think this was like 2 weeks ago it came out. So Harley Quinn colon Birds of Prey, or BOP. Because
Yeah.
originally it was Birds of Prey with the something Harley Quinn Emancipation or something like that of Harley Quinn, and it's a long title. I don't have time to read it right now, but it was advertised wrong because people were like, okay, so the team up doesn't really come to the very end of the film.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad film. Personally, as a comic book fan, I wasn't too big on. I mean, I don't mind people like changing the race of our character or something like that, or doing this and this to storyline. The costumes, in my opinion, were horrible.
They did the leg shit at the end. Excuse my language, but yeah.
Yeah, there was things in that movie I just questioned that they actually okayed,
Yeah.
The CW shows look better than some of these, big DC films. So,
I hate that guy, but that movie felt like they tried to remake the first Deadpool movie with
oh, they
Harley Quinn.
did.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to a critic friend of mine afterwards about what really deserves an R rating. Do you give a film an R just because we can, or does it need to really earn it? Like Deadpool earned its R because it was raunchy, but also had heart, but also showed that man, it also can be very bloody, and it shows its R rating. Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey barely had anything in there that should have been R rated. Like there was some
Right.
stuff, but I mean you could almost get away with that with a PG-13 rating.
Exactly.
And I think
I
it.
think
Oh,
it's a marketing tool now for comic book movies. Personally.
yeah, but I mean this is no Joker. I mean Joker deserved an R rating because of the subject matter and what he was doing in the movie. That truly deserved an R rating. And Birds of Prey has pretty much gone and went, well, we can make it R rated. Why? Why do you need R rated? Because it's hip and cool, and all the cool kids will go and see it. And I'm like, yeah, but they have to bring their parents, their kids.
Exactly.
So, or a consenting adult that says I'm their parent, even though they're not.
Right. Yeah, man. It was
But
just it was an off movie for me, man. They ruined a lot of good characters in that too. Like, you wasted your Black Canary, wasted your Huntress, and you wasted your Cassandra Cain, which is gonna be like they're great characters in the comics, but you're gonna waste them for this film so Harley can be a star.
oh
Fuck
yeah,
with it.
oh
you
yeah,
know?
we barely saw Black Canary use her abilities. Like she used them at
Right.
the end of the movie, and you're like, do you know what Black Canary can do, right? Like
Exactly.
when you see the CW shows, they have like two Black Canaries. In fact, there's literally a Birds of Prey um, television show coming out on the CW. It's a spin-off of Arrow, so we're gonna get to see them continue the whole grouping of the Birds of Prey, Dinah Drake and Laurel Lance and everything. So yeah, that's a good portrayal of the two different uh, Black Canaries. And in here, it's kind of like, well, she sang at the beginning and made some cups, jiggle a little bit, and at the end, she finally used spoilers. She finally uses her abilities, and everybody in
Yeah.
the audience that doesn't know who Black Canary is, they're like, oh wow, she has abilities. It's
All
like,
right.
yes, she's a metahuman.
They ruined the character. When I saw her get like touched in a fight by random thugs, I was like, all right, they just wasted a Black Canary. I'm leaving. I don't even want to be in this theater anymore.
Oh yeah, and with like somebody like the Huntress, like
Yeah.
I want just a movie about her. They really didn't touch on her. Oh, hold on a second. I lost you. I lost you for a second.
There you go. I'm back. I'm back.
You're back. Something happened.
Yeah.
No, but they didn't really touch on her as much, like the Huntress in the film, and that is a character that is really important in the comics. And I would have loved to just seen a solo movie about her because of
Yeah.
how much she has to bring to the team, and they just skimmed the surface, and you're like, oh, okay, that's it. Well,
Yeah, you know what DC messed up? The DC movies in general messed up. When we think DC, we think the DC animated universe. If they just split that into a film, everybody would have loved it. I already know. It would have just worked. You know what I'm saying? Same writers, same everything. You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah. I mean, what Marvel did right with the Avengers is they introduced a lot of the main characters as solo films first, and
Right.
DC went ahead and just tried to jump the shark by introducing everybody almost at once. And you're going, no, you got to actually give us more time to actually care for these people. And their excuse was like, you should know these people by now. And I'm like, well, not your people. Like they're written differently than some of the other incarnations that were used in the comic books or even
Right.
in earlier media. So we got to know these, like Batman or this Superman or this Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Instead of just throwing them out in a team, all of a sudden they were trying to rush an Avengers film for their
Yeah.
for their DC's Justice League, and it
No,
fa- and it and it failed. It blew up.
As soon as I saw a funny, Barry Allen. I was like, all right, this is they did not get their characters.
Well, they did. I mean, Barry Allen is funny, and I actually do like him. And it was kind of interesting actually seeing him in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover meet up with like Grant Gustin's Barry Allen, and it's like I was freaking out. I was going, wow, they actually did that. They really just.
Okay, but he's not like what's his name? Well, he's not Wally. Funny. Wally's the funny Flash.
Yeah, Wally's the funny Flash, but because they're so hyperactive, they
right.
The other one is sort of like from the DCU movies. He's more nerdy.
Somebody explained it to me that Barry Allen sees dead bodies every day. He's a cop. He wouldn't find none of that funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he wouldn't be the funny Flash. It would be Wally would be the funny one. But that's what I thought when I saw it. But they made him a college kid, so in that context, and from what you're saying, we did not know that character at the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm not going to get into the other movies because they pretty much there was no competition. I think Fantasy Island was the only one that came out that really people saw. It made surprisingly $12.5 million with very little advertisement. I haven't seen it, but I've heard that it looks like a horror film, but it's not. They were trying to do this darker version of Fantasy Island, the Ricardo Montalban, and they played the plane, and it's completely different. It's Michael Pena now more looks like a disheveled version of Ricardo Montalban, like walking out in unironed clothes with his shirt untucked and everything. And you're going, okay, I guess he's the host. So it surprisingly only made 12.5. A lot of people are expecting less than that. So that's pretty much the really only other film to really come out, and but no other film this week has rivaled Sonic, which of course 4-day weekend. It's a perfect. Some people don't think that a kids film would work like this, but over President's Day, kids are out for school. You have a 4-day weekend. They're gonna go see it, or sometimes I have adult friends that have seen it more than once throughout this weekend.
It's not just those kids. It's us kids.
Oh yeah, us kids. Well, no. There were little kids in there, and there were little kids running around, which is kind of annoying when you're trying to watch a movie. But they're because they want to be Sonic, so they're all running around the seats and everything. But
when I saw the mid credits and they did like the classic Sonic look and all that, I was like, all right, might have to do this again.
Oh yeah, definitely. If any of you actually watch the film, stay to the mid-credits scene because there is a surprise in there that you'll go, ah,
yeah,
that you were questioning the whole time. I wonder if they're gonna have that character in here. So yeah, definitely stay. Marvel has literally trained me to stay till after the credits. So even if there's no after credits, I still stay throughout the whole set of credits.
Dude, I'm just saying. I think I was a '90s kid again. So they did that little mid credit where it's like just showing. It's not the end credit, but the mid credit when they show like it looks like the Sega games.
Oh yeah.
It caught me good.
Definitely. All right, so our next story, because I'm looking at my screen over here. I have like 3 screens. So, Jurassic World 3 apparently is beginning to film very soon, according to Chris Pratt. Now, of course, this was going to be a new trilogy, with Jurassic World starting it off, and the last one, which didn't get really good, reviews by critics. It was so-so. I personally like Jurassic World better. But I guess they're going to try to, fix some things that people, were saying about the last Jurassic Park. And they're going to have, apparently, like, the whole cast from, the original Jurassic Park films in the movie. So that'll be kind of cool to see them all together instead of just, like, you have Jeff Goldblum, and then another one you have Sam Neill, and another one. And apparently they're going to get everybody to come into the film. And that's pretty cool. I mean, that's kind of like the legacy of Jurassic Park, if this is the last one they're going to do.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping it doesn't have the Star Wars feel to it. The newer ones, like where they kind of ruin the older characters except Leia. And plus, now, when we were kids, it's different energy. Now, everybody's old. Wars now.
Oh
Seeing
yeah.
all of them in Jurassic World is gonna be like, cool. It's a retirement home now.
Hey, Jeff Goldblum still looks good. I, I
I got
I got a picture with him in Salt Lake, and he's still he still has full of energy. He's still enjoying that he's now um, as popular as ever again,
you.
and working for
Oh,
Disney.
it's a beautiful thing, man. Just aging like that. So it's awesome. So still saying the movie itself, seeing what's Alan, Malcolm, and what was her name?
What was it? Ellie, I think it was.
Ellie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ellie just old people now. Like it's gonna be like Star Wars.
Yeah, Laura Dern, who actually just won an Oscar recently,
Yeah.
so she'll be coming in there with like, I have a statue now.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I kind of hated how they did Han Solo in the first one. But it's because they, in the end, they kind of,
He wanted out.
yeah, but yeah, exactly.
He actually wanted out of the first film, like A New Hope. He thought he was just going to do the first film and be over with it, and his popularity just skyrocketed. And everybody's like, "We want him back," and he's like, "I didn't want to come back."
That was a pretty good impression.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to do an impression, but yeah, he's all curmudgeon like this, and it's pretty much one of those type of people. Like he signed on to do the Indiana Jones films, but personally, he wasn't expecting to do anything else with Star Wars after the first one, and
Right.
he just became more popular. So he was glad to be gone after The Force Awakens.
Right.
But everybody else is all the
Well, they're
originals
just
going.
nerds.
Yes. I'm just looking forward to the future of Star Wars. I mean, with the Mandalorian and with other properties that are coming out about Star Wars, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that'd be awesome.
if it is as good as the Mandalorian, Star Wars has something special going.
Oh yes.
So
That's one thing I love about the Mandalorian. It captured the Star Wars feel that the main movies didn't really feel like catch.
well, yeah, it also captured the old west vibe, like the lone gunslinger coming into town, literally a lone gunslinger coming
Right.
into a bar scene, and that is like a perfect representation of the swinging doors open, and here he comes this gunslinger just walking up and looking for his bounty, and it's like, wow, okay, I see what you guys are doing here.
Yeah, the other cool part was it captured the Star Wars humor. Like, there's a certain humor in Star Wars that the Mandalorian caught, but the main movies didn't catch. I was surprised. I was like, come on, man, you guys didn't study it? Obviously, Favreau's a fan of Star Wars, and he's doing it like that, or whoever's doing it.
Oh yeah, well no, it's Favreau and Dave Filoni. Like Favreau's the executive producer, but so is Dave Filoni on writing, and Dave Filoni is responsible. He's doing the Clone Wars and everything, and he is literally he's apprenticed under George Lucas, so he is a bona fide replacement for Lucas when he passes on. Like Filoni will be in charge of all that type of stuff, with Lucasfilms, because he's that big of a fan. He grew up with Star Wars. It's everything to him. So it's interesting to see where Star Wars is going. As far as Jurassic World is concerned, I don't know if they'll keep going with the series. I know they were only going to do 3 films so far, and this last film is supposed to be like the big one. Like something's going to happen because now dinosaurs are all over the world. They recently came out with a short on YouTube. That's it's actually, you can look it up. I forgot what it's called, but it is actually an official short on YouTube of like a prequel to this film of like this family in a trailer park or a trailer technically, and it gets attacked by a dinosaur because now dinosaurs are roaming, America and everything. And it's well done for the time they had it, and the special effects are actually really cool. And it just this dinosaur just rips this trailer apart, and
That's awesome.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty intense, and I was surprised that they decided to release it on YouTube instead of we'll release it in the theaters or something like that, like as a short. So I guess getting hits and everything online, the best way to do it is to release it on a social media app like YouTube. So
Very true.
very true.
I love it, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so the next story we have here is because we were just talking about Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is going to be shooting, or Indiana Jones 5 is going to be shooting in two. What was it? Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months. I don't know how this is going to work out because I don't know if you saw the was it the Crystal Skulls, the last one of Indiana Jones. You know, the nuke the fridge thing. Have you
Oh
heard? Have you
yeah.
heard nuke the fridge?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they
That was
literally nuked the fridge.
that was really yeah. That was a strange film. I did not feel Indiana Jones at all in that movie.
No, a lot of people didn't. The critics, the audience was just standing back, going, "What is going on here?" I mean,
Yeah.
some of the film wasn't even finished. Like the monkey swinging scene, you could see how much they weren't even finished with the special effects in there. It's like, wow, the editors didn't stand back and go, "Hey, we need to have like a few more months to actually finish the scene." They're like, "No, no, keep." Like back then,
Yeah.
you couldn't like throw a patch on a film like you can now. Like a lot of
Right.
films are now released to theaters in digital form, so they're pretty much on a hard drive. And with the recent release of Cats, when they released it the first week, they actually it was a non-finished version of the film. That's just bad. When you release that for critics to review, never release a film that's not finished to critics. They're gonna
Exactly.
destroy it. Anyways, so the next day after the premiere, he literally sent a bunch of the theaters that had the film a patch, like a video game patch, to patch up things that like feet were sinking in the floor, people's like human hands were showing, or the fur that wasn't looking right, or anything else like that. The face would float away almost from the body, and it's like, wow. This is coming from an Oscar winner, Best Director Tom Hooper. He won for King's Speech. He's not
Right.
he's not a rookie at this. He's
Right.
somebody who's won an Oscar, Best Director, Best Picture, and he's going and he did Les Miserables and everything. And you're going, wow, you you rushed this film too much. Either you rushed it or the studio rushed it, but you're also the director, so you also have a huge responsibility.
Why are you rushing Cats? I tried to watch it on Broadway once. Still couldn't get it. So like, why are you rushing Cats on things?
Exactly, and I hope they don't rush the story for for Indiana Jones because it's a beloved series. I love Indiana Jones.
Right.
And Harrison Ford, he's getting up there, so he can't really do a lot of in the way of action anymore without hurting himself, like
You,
having
you
a
be,
having a door fall on him or something like that, like it happened in Star Wars.
gee, you be surprised, man.
He's crashed his plane like 5 times.
That's true.
One time he crashed on a golf course. Luckily, there were like 3 doctors playing golf nearby, so they helped him out. That was pretty lucky.
Yeah. Hey man, it's just like he's got the Han Solo luck off like in real life.
Exactly. But no, I hope they have a good story because I was really looking forward to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it just let me down. We had like this interdimensional alien. Spoilers for anybody who has actually seen it. I think you can watch it now on like
A
Hulu
movie from
or
was it
something like that.
2007? Was that what it came
I forget. I gotta look that up. But it was a while. It was Shia LaBeouf was really big at the time. I think coming off like Transformers and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't that good. It was one of those that sort of the black sheep of the Indiana Jones films. Even young Indiana Jones was
Yeah.
was way beyond that film. So all right, so let's see. Next story we have Mark Hamill and Lena Headey were cast as voices for the Masters of the Universe animated series.
Oh wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. I mean, Mark Hamill is of course a legend. He's Luke Skywalker, or he's the Joker. If you watch the Batman animated series in the '90s,
Oh yeah,
uh,
classic man. That was my show.
or Lena Headey, if you know her from Game of Thrones as Cersei Lannister, or Sarah Connor from the Sarah Connor Chronicles, um, or she also was in 300.
Oh man, that was a classic movie.
Oh
I'm glad
yeah.
it doesn't do a sequel.
Well, no, they did a sequel. They did a sequel. They did a sequel of like the Athenians fighting off the Persians, and in that little inlet, like was ship to ship fighting. So yeah, actually, that actually happened. So it was
Right.
kind of interesting. But we'll discuss that another time if I review the movie. I reviewed the movie a while back. I probably got to review it again because that was on another channel. But
Right.
no, so no, Lena Headey is a good actress, but Mark Hamill is like a legendary voice actor. So if you ever seen He-Man and Masters of the Universe, um, the thing I'm crossing my fingers on this is that they don't do that strange, goofy, cartoony animation that they've been changing a lot of, like with the Thundercats. Like I have
Right.
no idea what they were doing there. Like I love animators, and I have a lot of friends who are animators, in both comic books and in the animation industry. But what they did with that, oh,
Exactly.
it's like
Yeah.
okay, this is like when the Sonic the Hedgehog TV show, like the same year you had that goofy Sonic the Hedgehog Adventures, and then you had
Yep.
Sonic Sat AM on the same year, starring the same voice actor Jaleel White,
Yep.
and they were like apples and oranges. Like Sat AM was so much better and only got one season and
Yep.
got canceled, and it was actually really good.
It
Um,
was at a weird time slot. I remember, you come as a kid. I mean, I don't know if we're in the same age. I don't know. Are
I'm
we?
I'm 35.
35. So you know that. You understand. I'm like 34 going on that. So, well, 33. So, going on 34. So, yeah, I remember having to wake up early to watch Saturday AM. Sonic, the other one you're talking about, came on in the afternoon. It was like syndicated, so you had to watch it almost. You know, so they kind of just messed up Saturday AM. That's all I'll say. They messed it over.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the funny thing is, um, they released it the same year as the other show, and like I said, they're apples and oranges. You have Sonic on this one playing with like goofy villains, and on the other one, it's like Dr. Robotnik is like really evil. Like he's like frighteningly evil, but he talks like this, kind
Yeah.
of like he's having an orgasm every time he talks. But he's also very evil, like like not goofy evil, but somebody that like
Right.
truly wants. He's already conquered the world, so
Yeah.
um, or
And it
that.
had,
Yeah, I don't know. And
and it had the most epic theme song too.
oh
That's the
yeah,
other part. You can tell they put effort into that show.
oh they put effort into the music, they put effort in the animation, and they also put effort for young people that start to realize that I might like furries.
Very true.
But no, I'm just hoping, I'm just crossing my fingers that the animation, is a good standout and is not, goofy and does something, fresh, but not insulting to the fans. That's what I feel like what happened with the Thundercats. It's kind of like, oh man, that's kind of insulting, especially to the last Thundercats show that came out, which had really good
Yeah.
animation. This one
Fantastic.
comes
Yeah.
out and it's just like bouncy, round,
Oh, geez. Don't
cartoony
tell me he's
stuff.
doing this. Bro. Oh,
Did you
no.
freeze?
I froze.
You froze. You froze a little bit, just a little bit. All right. Okay. So then we're done with that one. Let's get on to the next story, Lucifer. Now, I don't know if you watched Lucifer. It's on Netflix currently.
Okay.
It's starring Tom Ellis. It was originally on Fox, and after 3 seasons, they canceled the show. This show is based on a Vertigo comic of the same name, Lucifer. It's about the devil taking a vacation to Earth and just trying to live his life on Earth. And in here, Tom Ellis plays Lucifer Morningstar, and he has this ability also to get people to tell them like their deepest desires, just looking them straight in the eyes. It works on pretty much everybody except for this one detective that works with him in the police department, and she's not affected by any of his mojo,
Right.
and it's pretty much a buddy cop type of show, but it deals with demons and angels, and um, he has to try to convince her. He doesn't lie to her. He says he's the devil right away. She does not believe him. She thinks that it's more of like um, a metaphor or something else like that, until like until the end of the what was it, the end of the third season, that he really comes out. He shows him his devil face, and it takes her a while to actually get used to it. So it's a good show. I highly recommend you watch it because the final season was supposed to be the fifth season coming up on Netflix, because Netflix bought it out after it was canceled on Fox, and the fifth season is supposed to be the last season, but apparently Netflix is in talks with the producers and the actors of Lucifer. They want a sixth season, and
Okay.
if anything, they want more. They are willing to pay a lot of money for this show. It Lucifer recently popped up in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover when
Wow.
Constantine went to the Earth where Lucifer is on, and the Earth that he's on is Earth 666. Yeah, I know, that was awesome. I love it because all the Earths would pop up with their number and everything, and Lucifer's Earth that he's on is Earth 666, and it was just cool to see Constantine and Lucifer in the same scene. If anybody has read the comic book Hellblazer with Constantine, you know, him meeting, the devil constantly, or meeting up with him is just a thing because Constantine's soul is damned to hell. So
Right.
even though he kind of works on the light side, he's gonna go to hell when he dies.
Right.
But no, Matt Ryan. I would love to just see a show with them together, like Matt Ryan even just showing up on Lucifer, because there's a story with them because they know each other when we see them in the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. So yeah, I'm looking
I
forward to.
saw that clip. That clip was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was cool, huh? I mean, you didn't have to do much. You pretty much stand at the back door and give them a card, but it's like to see them together, it's like, wow, you could do something with that. And
Yeah.
yeah, Tom Ellis is just like, he's like perfection when it comes to, I don't know, something to do with the devil and British people. I don't know what, I mean, unless you're Al Pacino and just decide to to really play it up, but something devilish about their accents. And Tom Ellis, like, he can literally turn a straight man gay.
You know what? I think one of my favorite things, since talking about the crossover, I love, cause I think I was in high school when this came out, but Smallville,
Oh yes.
the Smallville crossover. I was like, oh my god, they need more of this.
You missed that. And the funny thing is, like, I believe it was in the third season, uh, Tom Welling was actually in the third season of Lucifer. So that was pretty cool.
Oh
To see him, it's like he played a character named Cain. Um,
yeah.
what if you know who Cain is, from the Bible, he's the other, he's the son that lived.
Right.
But no, it was no. I like Tom Welling. It was cool to see him, and then see him again as Clark Kent in the crossover, and then see Erica Durance again,
Oh
which
yeah.
which
I
is
was like, huh?
which is funny because she plays uh, Supergirl's mother in Supergirl. So
That's awesome. Dude, they just need to, as I said, they just need to bring it back. I mean, just the story they told at that one segment. I'm like, that's something you got to do. Just at least a special. You know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, definitely.
So-
It's cool what they did with the crossover because they flattened the universes so that, like, Black Lightning now exists in the same universe as Supergirl exists with the Flash and with the other Birds of Prey and everything, and
yeah,
with, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they even bring in Stargirl, because that originally was supposed to be a DC Universe show on their network, and they decided CW was going to show it. They even
yeah,
did, like, at the end of the crossover, show a little bit of her team, like in those small clips that they had at the end of the crossover. So I'm hoping that she's part of that same universe, because that would be really cool to see.
yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to see a bunch of people in there that you haven't seen in a while from different DC shows. I wish they had did something with Gotham. That would actually have been interesting.
Oh, yeah. Just out of nowhere. See
As
that.
because they did Teen Titans, they did like movies, the movie Flash one, and they did what was it, Doom Patrol? They showed a scene from Doom Patrol in
Oh,
there.
wow.
So Doom Patrol is really good. I really enjoyed that show.
I did a few episodes. It was interesting. So I'll give it that.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
Oh, what I say the sorry, but if they had the Gotham Batman costume at the end, I'm like, nah, you took me out of it already.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that was yeah, that was kind of like, oh no, what is this? Um,
Is this the costume store? You guys red short?
exactly, exactly.
It's not even fitting the guy. What are you doing? It was funny. It was.
All right, so I'm gonna be doing one more story, and then I'm gonna go into TV show recommendations.
Yes.
So the next story is we get to actually see the Batman costume. Speaking of the Batman costume,
Oh
so
yes.
Robert Pattinson, of course, is going to be playing the new Batman, new Bruce Wayne, a younger Bruce Wayne, more of a detective Bruce Wayne. So they're gonna do, they're gonna work with him. Like he is supposed to be Sherlock, and we've never
Right.
really got to see, even in the Christopher Nolan films, him
Right.
really being Sherlock. It's more of like Morgan Freeman's character is more of the Sherlock character of that
Yeah.
like that universe, but
That, you, we get the one scene, but it's mostly tech.
yeah, he's
You
mostly
know,
checking out
it's,
the bullet. Like, but Batman
yeah,
is general, like, can be on scene and literally look around and see things that other people like walk by because he's just like he's that good.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. I can't wait for that movie now. So if they do that, it's beautiful.
yeah, and then they're going for a more like street version of Batman, and they also Selena Kyle is going to be played by Zoe Kravitz.
Nice.
If you watch the Hot Ones, First We Feast, she was one of their recent guests, and she knocked it out of the park, which
Nice.
was pretty cool. And if you know who Zoe Kravitz is, she's of course Lenny Kravitz's daughter, and what was it? Lenny Kravitz and Lisa Bonet, I believe, daughter. So, um, yeah, she knocked it out of the park with those hot wings, including the last dab. If you ever had the last dab and people ordered that, that is a very very spicy sauce.
Really? You've had it?
Yeah, but I
Wow.
like hot stuff, so I like to challenge myself.
Of course. That's what's up, man. Where'd you have it at?
I had it at a friend's house. He bought it, so yeah, it's spicy. I mean, even I waited a little while and then I decided to gulp down milk, but it starts to burn.
Oh,
So
jeez.
yeah, but no,
Yeah.
it looks like a good movie. I mean, for what I'm looking forward to seeing more of the premise of what they're actually going to have in the film. But the screen test we see with the suit, it's a different design than we've seen before.
Hmm.
And even the symbol, some people say it looks like a gun that he disassembled and he made it into a symbol. So
Yeah.
of the bat, and I'm looking forward to seeing Catwoman's design because even in Gotham we really didn't get to see really a good suit on her. Pretty much she was always
Uh,
wearing leather. That's pretty much it.
yeah. I think even in the Nolan film, they didn't have it too
Well,
well.
they didn't even call her Catwoman.
No.
No, no, they just call her Selena, and it's like, oh, okay, she's not, she's a cat burglar. That's it.
Yeah.
And she didn't even have like her ears were her goggles, so it's like
Right.
she's like they look like ears when they're sticking up like this. That's it.
Yeah. But
But
we'll
yeah,
find.
it's gonna be interesting to see. I hopefully a good, like in my opinion, a good Catwoman suit when they finally release pictures of it. And I don't know how you feel about Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Right. It was cool. I
It,
mean, at least they gave us a Catwoman.
they gave us a
So,
Catwoman, and I just the movie.
I don't
It's
know.
one of those
It was
films I sit
fine.
back and go like, yeah, if I wanted to turn my brain off, but then I go like, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was like,
Yeah.
that suit is legend. I rarely see anybody even dress up in cosplay at cons. Halle Berry's Catwoman. It's mainly like the animated series Catwoman, the old Batman, with Adam West and everything's Catwoman, and there's
Yeah.
several Catwomen too. Like there's three actresses that play Catwoman, and
Yeah.
then there's of course Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, which is the one with
Yeah.
that looks all stitched up and everything. So I rarely see anybody actually cosplay Halle Berry's because it's kind of embarrassing for a lot of people that in the comic book
Right.
scene. They're like, oh yeah, that film. I mean,
around that time, everybody was copying. What was the good superhero movie at that time? They were like copying everybody. Though X Men, that's what
yeah,
everybody was
X
copying.
Men. Yeah.
It was like, yeah, let's make Daredevil, but it's like X Men. It's like Catwoman, kind of like X Men.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, if you anybody that actually seen the Daredevil film with Ben Affleck, I highly recommend watch the director's cut. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
much better.
I agree.
They deal with more lawyer stuff, and there's this cool like section of the story where he works with Coolio's character, which actually was really good. I could actually have seen a whole film with just him working that case. It was that, in
Yeah,
my opinion, it was that engaging. So,
yeah, man. I think that's why the Marvel, well, excuse me, the the Netflix special kind of captured the character a little bit more.
oh yeah,
It's
because
like, yeah,
he's a lawyer almost first before he's Daredevil.
yeah.
So,
Just pretty awesome, man. I was like, okay, so they do play up the fact that he's just a blind guy fighting crime, which is good. Exactly what he is.
exactly. Yeah.
It's pretty funny, man. But it's like, the fact he's got heightened senses, all that. But it's like they did the character role just like they did Luke Cage. Like they did that well. I was surprised.
All right, so before we end the show, we're gonna have a couple of recommendations for television shows. So, for anybody who likes to watch TV and has Netflix, which is pretty much like now like 70-80% of the population, even if they don't have it, they have somebody who has it and probably has like multiple accounts that the people just glean off their password. But you're not supposed to do that. But if you pay a little bit extra, you can actually do that. You can share it with friends or family. So it's kind of
Right.
interesting.
Pay a
So,
little extra.
oh yeah, just pay a little extra. Then and say, hey, if you could give me like $5 or $10 every once in a while, that'll be awesome. Uh, exactly. The first show you need to check out if you haven't seen is an IDW based comic book called October Faction. October Faction is about a family of monster hunters. If you haven't seen it yet, it is actually pretty cool. The mother and father in there are these monster hunters with kids. That these kids have like special abilities. They haven't told their parents yet that they have these things. They just started to manifest, and the family, well, the parents themselves have been part of this organization that hunts monsters all around the world, and their main motto is just pretty much kill them all. And we find some secrets in here that maybe the company they work for maybe be hiding secrets of their own, and maybe they're not really the good guys. So, but yeah, it's a really interesting show. I highly recommend it. I'm really hoping they come out with a second season because the way they ended it, it looks like it's going to be like one of those shows that has a long-standing, maybe 5-6 seasons in it. So. Hoping for a second season, but check it out. It's on Netflix. It's called October Faction.
Nice.
All right, another show that you also need to check out on Netflix is Lock and Key. Lock and Key. This is written by Joe Hill. He's the son of Stephen King.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that he really, when he wrote the books, he didn't want to go off his father's fame or his name, otherwise it'd be Joe King.
Right.
So he's Joe Hill, and he wrote a series of comics called Lock and Key. Very interesting comics. I've read them. I haven't read them all, but read the first volume about these kids who discover these keys in this house. And each of these keys can do different things. Like the head key can literally open your head up and you can see what's inside your head. There's a representation that they do it differently in the show, but it's like a representation of what's in your head, your memories, and everything that is you. Each person has a different like door that they open up, and it looks different for everybody else. There's one that's called a ghost key, which can take you into an astral form.
Wow.
There's another one that is the match key that can start anything on fire, even yourself. So you just don't want to put the key in you, otherwise you'll die. You'll just burn. There's the Omega key, the mysterious Omega key, which if I say what it does, it's a big plot point in the show. It's a huge spoiler. There's an interesting villain in here. There's a twist to this villain. It's very interesting. I highly recommend checking out the show for anybody who hasn't seen Lock and Key or read the comic. But I think this is a good adaptation of the comic book. I definitely, the fans are, they love it so far. Even for people who haven't read the comics, it has good reviews so far for the show. And
Awesome.
yeah, definitely check out Lock and Key. Now, before we end this podcast, can you tell the viewing audience where they can find your comedy stand-up acts?
You can find me at the open mics all the time. The ones Lacuna Cava. That's Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Lacuna Cava's downtown Phoenix. It's a really great Cava place. You guys are gonna love it. I promise. O'Connor's Pub on Thursdays at 8:30. It's just a regular pub. Really good atmosphere. If you're trying to get let's say, try your talent out there. Try to. I had like musicians come by. Somebody played a banjo and got a good reception there. So, like it's one of those. It's a creative atmosphere and $4 craft drafts. You can't beat that.
That's fantastic.
And, Urban Beans. That's my Saturday mic. It's a beautiful afternoon in Phoenix to showcase your talent. We're on the patio. We're outside, just feeling it. It's one of those like where you can. It's big creative energy at Urban Beans, to where you can improve your skills, or just like the last one we did this past Saturday. It was somebody came up with a game where we just got to improv. Somebody gives us a word and we got to use the word in a joke form, basically,
Oh,
or
yeah.
even like in a poem form. So poem form, something like that. So it was very cool, man. So it's that kind of atmosphere to where you can really build your stage presence and your improv skills. It's like we were talking about earlier with Jim Carrey and Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, definitely. So much, a lot of fun improv. And also, where can people, if they're interested in checking out your books, do you have do you sell them on Amazon? Do you have them in digital form for like Kindle and Fire?
I have them digital form. I have them on Amazon, all over the place. Just follow me on Instagram, The Lazy Man Hustle, and on my website, ultradieseltime.com. It's one of the links. There's Powerful's the Book of Power Gains, The Lazy Man Hustle, and Stand for Nothing or Else a Coward's Theory. All great books, man. I'm all about helping people, empowering. It's a beautiful thing to do. If you're not doing that in the world, hate to say, you might be messing up. Just hate to say it. Yeah, I mean, you can't keep it all to yourself. As soon as you pass, and then,
Yeah, spread those positive vibes. Everybody needs them these days.
Oh yeah, positivity and I think we can improve the world. Just putting that seed out. Positive seed, good creativity.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we're talking about, hate to get dark here, but, some people get caught up in what they're doing now, to where it's like anything bad happens to what's going on now, like their, say, the worldview, whatever, they get caught up in it,
Oh yeah.
Just like comedy, I say, helps a lot of people jest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It find the jest in the situations where you can keep going and just learn from it and just laugh about it later. Tell the story in the end, That's what I'm starting to learn. I can tell my story finally from this comedy stuff, So it's beautiful. Thank you for having me, dude.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming on, and definitely send me those links to for your books, and I'll put them down in the description. Thank you everybody for joining us for this special GNERD Corner. I definitely want to do more of these. I know I've been slacking for a while because I lost co-hosts in the past, so it was awesome talking with you. And we'll definitely do more of these. And so check us out. I'll have the descriptions below on Darrell's stuff. And also check me out on Twitter at GNERD Corner. And please subscribe to the channel right down below. Subscribe.
Yeah.
And so thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Darrell, for being on. Don't forget to check him out if you can. And remember to enjoy your chimichanga.
Beautiful. Thanks, man.